should we be worried about the future of DC films after The Suicide Squad bombed at the box office? Now, regardless to what HBO Max want to say about how well it did on streaming, that's kind of irrelevant to the box office. The original Suicide Squad movie, although it allegedly flopped, made crazy money opening weekend. Yeah, this one barely made 26 million domestic and made 71 million worldwide. Then we look at the numbers for the original Suicide Squad movie, which everyone thought was a mess, and it made just shy of 750 million US dollars. So yo, what is good YouTube? Warstu here. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the videos. Check us out on Instagram at Warstu. If you want to see the face behind the voice, also check us out on Twitter, WarstuG, aka the Warstu. So, as a DC fan, I actually really enjoyed the Suicide Squad movie. Really did enjoy it. But everyone I've spoke to personally outside of the industry or YouTubers or social media, people that I know in real life, my buddies, they all said it freaking sucked. They all said they preferred the original one, which is pretty interesting. So it got me thinking, should we be worried about the future of DC films outside of the SnyderVerse? Now, I know everyone's going to criticize the SnyderVerse, but David Ayer's, okay, it's not David Ayer's version, is it? Let's be honest, we did a video yesterday. That should be coming at some point in the next 2-3 years, maybe if we're lucky. But the studio cut made $750 million, and you look at Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, absolutely freaking fire. Then you look at movies like Wonder Woman 1984, it flopped. Shazam 2, it didn't flop, but it didn't make much money, but it didn't have much overheads. And then you look at Birds of Prey, and then you look at the Suicide Squad, and people are like, yo, well, Stu, the movie's only been out 2 weeks. Yeah, the movie's only been out 2 weeks. But if we look at the data from the original Suicide Squad movie opening weekend, it did an awful lot better just domestically in America alone. It did pretty good opening weekend. Like on the Friday, 64 million, Saturday, 35 million, Sunday, 30 million, and that took the total to 133 million domestically opening weekend for a movie that everyone said sucked. Should we be worried about the DC universe? I personally, as someone that kind of has a DC orientated channel, yes, I think we should be worried about the DC's future. James Gunn recently came out and said he had full creative control over the Suicide Squad movie. And like I said, I enjoyed it. I really did. But it got me thinking, should we be worried about Aquaman 2? Should we be worried about Shazam 2? Should we be worried about The Flash? Why? Because Walter Hamada, now I'm not one of these people that talk about Walter Hamada burgers and stuff. That is very freaking immature. You know what I'm on about. The dude's just doing the best job he can to the best of his ability. But something in common here is every single movie outside, now a lot of people are going to disagree with it, outside the Snyderverse has literally flopped. Yes, there were a few inconsistencies. The Joker banged, Aquaman 1 banged, but let's be honest, that's because of the generation and time that came out. So I'm actually really worried about the future of DC films because the Suicide Squad shouldn't have flopped. Birds of Prey flopped. Wonder Woman 1984 flopped. So whatever pathway DC has with Toby Emmerich, who will be gone shortly, with Walter Hamada, it just doesn't seem to be working. Now, I guess a good metric of a movie isn't just what critics say, because I guess technically I'm a critic. I like the movie, but in the first 2 weeks, the movie has flopped. And it's all right coming out saying, yeah, the Suicide Squad movie was the second most watched movie in the opening weekend for the Suicide Squad on HBO Max. But that's kind of irrelevant. It's a streaming service. You pay money. You get to watch it. You look at movies like Godzilla vs. Kong that absolutely freaking banged at the box office, just under $500 million. When it wasn't even opened in the UK, Europe, and Japan, it was realistically only open in America and a few other regions and territories. People keep blaming this pandemic. Fast and Furious 9 did okay worldwide. But the Suicide Squad movie, Jungle Cruise, they have flopped massively. Fast 9 worldwide of $600 million. Okay, that's come out recently-ish. Godzilla vs. Kong, just under $500 million. Black Widow with Marvel, with the powerhouse of Marvel, only banged $360 million. I don't believe the reason is people are scared to go cinema, because I've been cinema a bunch of times and it's pretty much 70-80% full. So I don't know what people want about. I really don't. But then you look at Space Jam, $135 million currently. Jungle Cruise, $125 million. I know the Suicide Squad movie's only just recently come out, but it's not even hit $100 million. So yeah, is it because it's a DC Films movie? I don't know, but at the moment there seems to be no confidence in DC going forward. Birds of Prey, flop. The Suicide Squad, flop. Wonder Woman 1984, flop. Yes, minus Birds of Prey, they were streaming orientated as well, but that's not an excuse. I really think after Suicide Squad movie, even though I think it was a really cool movie, it was very different, very gory, very bloody. Like, it's like what Deadpool should be with no filter, but Disney's probably going to change that, or 20th Century Fox will change that, so to speak. But I'm actually really concerned about the Flash movie, Shazam 2, Aquaman. Not so much Black Adam, because Black Adam has The Rock's team behind it and Danny Garcia, Seven Productions behind it. I'm not worried about Black Adam, but I'm really starting to worry about the Flash movie. Why? Because Warner Bros. Didn't understand time traveling and the multiverse in the Zack Snyder Justice League movie and the 5-part arc that he set up. And you're telling me Warner Bros. Are gonna meddle with Andy Muschietti? And although Andy Muschietti's cool, he doesn't come from a comic book orientated superhero movie background. So you're telling me that Warner Bros. Isn't going to interfere when they don't even understand multiversal travel? They couldn't understand the Ezra Miller Flash scene when he was going back in time. They didn't understand it. And you're telling me they're doing a multiversal movie when you have different variations of the Batman, potentially Superman, potentially the Flash, potentially Warstu. I don't get it. Should we have faith in DC Films? Well, I think we should, but a lot of people get on this. It's Walter Hamada and Toby Emmerich's fault why the Snyderverse isn't being restored. Yeah, maybe that's the reason. We're never actually going to know concurrently with factual evidence, rather than people just saying, yeah, they've kind of put a stop to the Snyderverse. I want the Snyderverse to be continued. And yes, from what I hear and from what I've told you guys, it is Toby that's blocking it and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really skeptical about the future of DC movies going forward. How can you put any trust in a company that can't even understand multiversal travel in the Snyderverse, in the Snyder Cut, and then they're bringing out a Flash movie? I understand Warner Bros. Aren't going to be behind the script writing and all that kind of stuff, but they're going to interfere just like they did with the Snyderverse, just like they always interfere. Studios always interfere to a certain degree because they are financing said movie. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Should we be worried about the future of DC Films? Now, I still think DC Films to a certain degree are better than Marvel, because Marvel is a generic company. Even with What If, even with Loki, it's still pretty much generic. You know exactly what you're getting. You really do. I'm just really skeptical about the next DC movie. Yes, I think the Batman movie will bang. Yes, I think the Flash movie will bang. As the projections for the Suicide Squad movie was so high, yet it underperformed. What movie doesn't even smash $100 million opening weekend? It's pretty much flopped, and people are like, yo, Warstu, it's only been out 2 weeks, and it's not even made $100 million. Cruella's made more money. Peter the Rabbit's made more money. Yeah, I get it, they've been out longer, but I fail to understand if the Suicide Squad movie will even make close to $300 million, and if it turns over 300, that doesn't mean it's going to make 300. It's ridiculous how little this movie has made with all the hype. But to be honest, was this movie marketed? I don't remember seeing any trailers for this movie. I don't really actually remember seeing anything. It's opened in pretty much every market now, and its domestic is like under 30 million, international 45. How is this movie even gonna make the budget back? And that's before you get into the marketing budget. It's mad. It really is. So like always, guys, let me know what you think down below. I'm not a DC hater, as you know, guys. I do it like DC's literally in the thumbnail. It's literally in the intro and outro. I'm a DC fan. I'm just very worried about every DC project coming up, including the Batman and including the Flash, because at the end of the day, Walter Hamada will be an EP on these as well. And I don't know what direction they're going on. Everyone's a super duper scooper saying different things, but realistically, no one knows jack. So like always, guys, let me know. Are you worried as a DC fan or a DC hater or an average cinema user, cinema viewer about the future of DC going forward? So like always, guys, let me know what you think down below. Check us out on Instagram at Warstu if you want to see the face behind the beard. I just recently had it trimmed. Also check us out on Twitter, WarstuG, and I'll catch you in a new video, guys, very soon. Catch ya later.